A last chorus for your ears only. I'm David Alpern.
I'm Melissa Axelberth with a quote from the news. Yummy, daddy like. That, according to court papers, was a Facebook message from U.S. Navy Commander Jose Luis Sanchez after contractor Leonard Glenn Francis offered to arrange prostitutes for him and his buddies in Malaysia. Both men and several others were arrested in connection with an alleged lavish bribery scheme. Now this.
I could while away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain. With the thoughts I'd be thinking I could be another Lincoln if I only had a brain.
There were really three Wizards of Oz. Actor Frank Morgan was revealed behind the curtain in the 1939 film. Composer Harold Arlen and lyricist E.Y. Yip Harburg remained unseen but supplied the musical magic that helped make it a classic, including those optimistic lines for The Tin Woodsman, sung by veteran Cabaret vocalist Karen Oberlin. The same magic manifested itself in earlier and later songs they wrote together and apart, including Last Night When We Were Young, Happiness Is Just a Thing Called Joe, That Old Black Magic, and Old Devil Moon.
Oberlin celebrates the work of those two other Wizards of Oz on November 14th at the Café Carlyle, and from the 26th through the 30th of this month at the new Crazy Coqs Cabaret in London. But for your ears only, she's on the line now with a preview. Karen, welcome back to our show.
Oh, it's so great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Arlen wrote his first well-known song, Get Happy, in 1929, and a lot of other hits before reaching Oz, including Stormy Weather. Harburg wrote the Depression dirge, Brother, Can You Spare a Dime, in 1932, and they even collaborated with one another before The Wizard, producing a song you sing in the new show that Arlen considered his favorite. Talk about the special charm you find in Last Night When We Were Young.
Oh, well, it has an interesting story. It is one of my favorite songs of their work together. But Arlen had written that melody and had shown it to, his good friends, his neighbors, like George and Ira Gershwin, Jerome Kern. And they thought it was haunting. They thought it was beautiful, but they didn't think anyone could sing it. They didn't think that it could really work as a song. And then he went back to his occasional collaborator as they were starting to work together again, Yip Harburg, and Harburg immediately fell in love with it. The title came spilling out of him, and so did the lyrics.
The two of them also wrote an angrier, funnier take on romance for a Broadway musical called Hooray for What that you'll sing this week.
Down with Love. It's comedic, too, which I think is one of the reasons that so much of the social and civil rights issues that Harburg especially wanted to bring to the fore in pretty much every Broadway show he ever wrote, he could get away with a lot of that because there was so much humor in what he did.
We read that it was a rainbow Harburg saw over Hollywood Sunset Boulevard that prompted him to write Somewhere Over, well, we all know. How does a performer like you try to find a different or a special way to present such a familiar song?
Well, it is tricky, and I am going to sing it, but in my Harburg show, when I had a show years ago that was just purely devoted to Yip Harburg, I had him singing it in a video to open the show, which is so moving, coming right into the verse out of talking about how the world has changed. And then he just sort of segues right into the song, to the lyrics, and then speaking first, and it's very, very moving. He used to perform his material quite often. But I am going to sing it, and we have a sort of a rhythmic, different take, but there's also a whole bridge and chorus that was cut from the film. There was a reprise where Judy Garland is in the witch's castle, and she sings a little of the song, and that ended up on the editing room floor. But I will revive it in this show, and that's fun because it's actually just as good as the rest of the song. But I would do it for you now, but, I want people to show up at the Carlyle.
Arlen and Harburg worked together again on a 1939 Marx Brothers movie called At the Circus. Talk about the comic song that became a Groucho trademark and maybe your favorite funny line or two.
Oh, well, this was, it did become his signature song, and it was almost...
We should say it's Lydia the Tattooed Lady.
Lydia the Tattooed Lady. And Harburg actually used to write topical lyrics when he would perform the song long after the long after Groucho Marx had been singing it, and he would write funny lines like, when she stands, her hips look littler. When she sits on Hitler. When she stands, she's 6'6", and when she sits on Nixon, depending on the politics of the day. So there are more of those to come. But, well, yes, it was. They had to save the virtue of Lydia to keep the film song in the film. Otherwise, we might never have known it because the censors wanted very badly to cut it from the film, and they had to work very hard. I tell a little of that story in the show, too, which is pretty dramatic, how they were desperate to save this song. And where would we be without a song like Lydia the Tattooed Lady, I ask you?
Veteran cabaret performer Karen Oberlin celebrates Arlen and Harburg at 10:45 p.m. on November 14th at the Café Carlyle. That's 35 East 76th Street in New York. And November 26th through the 30th in the Crazy Coqs Cabaret in London.
Last night, when we were young, love was a star, a song unsung. Life was so new, so real, so right. Ages ago. Last night.
And this has been For Your Ears Only.